Hey, this is BA and welcome to GANN TUNNEL Deep Insight. And what this is in this video is I just got done doing a series on the tunnel through the air where I put a lot of information out. But what struck me is that there's a part in tunnel that's rather obvious and it's very important. And I figured that if I put it out, that it would spark some interest, and because a lot of people, they're going for these quick systems and stuff like that, and it's not working for them. I got an email today from a guy that said, I've been trying all this scan stuff, it's not working. He's been out there, he's been doing all this quick system stuff, and it's like, this is not at all what GAN was doing. So let's take a look at actually tunnel through the air where we can actually get some insight into what WD GAN was really doing. Okay. There is one part of WD GAN's book, The Tunnel Through the Air, that really stands out even to the beginner. It provides deep insight into what WD GAN was actually doing. Let's review it here. It starts on page 370 of GAN's book, The Tunnel Through the Air. And remember, in this, if you've already seen the series, you'll know this. But GAN's book is The Tunnel Through the Air is a forecast of the Great Depression. It's a forecast, and the war in that book is the war between the bulls and bears. It's a period there where he's forecasting the Dow. So the back of the book where the war's happening, all it is a huge Dow forecast. It was actually stock market, but we use the Dow because that's what we got the data on. Keep that in mind as you read this. He then wondered when the war would end. He knew that Daniel's 70 weeks indicated the end in 1932, or about 3.5 years from the time that the war first broke out in Europe in 1928. He read Daniel 7:12. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season in time. And again, the 25th verse, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given unto his hand until the times, and the dividing of time. He had proved by studying and comparing past cycles that a time or a season referred to in the Bible meant 360 days, 360 years, or 360 degrees, a measure known and used by the astrologers in olden times and still understood and used by modern astrologers for measuring time. He knew that half a time meant 180 degrees, 180 days or years, because Ezekiel had said that the Lord had appointed a day for a year. He figured that America began with the discovery of Columbus in 1492, and that in October 1932 would be 440 years since the discovery. The measurement used through the Bible was by scores, and a man's span of life was 80 years and 10, and that 440 years equaled 22 scores, leaving 2 scores or 40 years more for the completion of the Jubilee years. He read Matthew 18:21 and 22. Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Till 7 times? Jesus said unto him, I say unto thee, until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. It's 490. Robert figured that 70 times 7 meant 490 years or days from the discovery of America until we would cease fighting, forgive our brothers, and live in peace. He knew that the 7th period was also a Jubilee period, that there was a Jubilee period of 7 years at the end of each 49-year period, and that there was a great period of 49 Jubilee years at the end of 7 times 70. That the 6th period would end in 1933, and that from 1933 to 1982 would be 49 years of the Great Jubilee following the end of wars and the United Kingdom of the world. He read Daniel 7:25, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given unto his hand until the time, and the dividing of time. Then read Daniel 12:7, and I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and sware by him that liveth forever, that it shall be a times and a half, and when we shall have accomplished it, to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. He figured that a times equaled 20 years or a score, and that a times time equaled 400 years, and half a time equaled 10 years. Again, Daniel 12:11 and 12. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh deathless set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,305 and 30 days. 1,290 days are to be added to the time the war broke out in Europe in 1928, and the 1,335 days, being 45 days more, the blessed Jubilee days, will follow from the time the war ended in 1932 until the great celebration and signing of peace and establishing the brotherhood of man. He read Daniel 9:24. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city to finish the transgression, and to make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, seal up the vision and prophecy, and anoint the most holy. Now, you read about that, and you're like, well, what is this? Reconciliation for iniquity and everlasting righteousness, and you think that's Bible lingo, it is like it has absolutely no application to trading, but it does. The 70 weeks here, this Daniel's known for his 70 weeks. Well, what's 70 weeks? It's 70 times 7, which is 490. A very important count that's used throughout Tunnel. Very important. This again proved that 490 years, or days, from the discovery of America, that there should be an end of sins, an end of war, and of troublesome times. Ezekiel 4:5 and 6. For I have laid upon thee the years of their iniquity, according to the number of days, 390 days, so shalt thou bear the iniquity of the house of Israel. And when thou hast accomplished them, lie again on thy right side, and thou shalt bear the iniquity of the house of Judah 40 days. Now wait a minute. Remember days and years together? Wasn't someone 40 years in the desert? I have appointed thee each day for a year. This made it plain that a day was to be used in measuring years, and that there was to be 40 days or 40 years after peace for a jubilee period in which the sins of the past were to be atoned for. 10 years after the armistice in November 1918 would bring us to November 1928. Or half a score, and from November 1928 to 1932 are indicated the troublesome times for the United States. May 1928 to July 1928 are very important and troublesome periods when the nominations for President of the United States will arouse the people and start a time of trouble, using the time of 70 years and 10 and doubling this period, making 140 years and adding it to 1776. The Declaration of Independence brought us to the election of Wilson in 1916, and the war followed in 1917. The next score from this period ends in 1936. New York City was evacuated by the British on November 25th, 1783. If we add 3 periods of 49 years to this, it will bring us to 1930, the starting of the war against the United States, which ended with the final attack on New York City in 1932. Now, what's he talking about that? Okay, which will bring us to 1930, which was the start. He starts the war period in April 1930, and he finishes the war when it was declared over in New York City on July 4, 1932. April 1930, if you look at the Dow, is a huge high, and at the bottom was July 8th, 1932. The dude missed it by 4 days, and the dude wrote the book 5 years in advance. New York City was founded in 1614, adding a period of 6 times 49. Brings us to 1908, and adding 24 and a half years, or 1/2 the time of 49 years, brings us to 1932, when the name of the city was again changed. The last half of the 7th period of 49 years, or from the dividing of time, is another jubilee period for New York City. The first English settlement in the United States was established by Raleigh at Roanoke, Virginia in 1585. Adding the 7th 49-year period, or 340 years, brings us to 1928, indicating more troublesome times to start. The smaller cycles in 7-year periods, there's that number 7, mentioned so often in the Bible, also indicated that twice 7 or 14 years from 1914 would bring war again in 1928. And adding half a period of a cycle of 7 or 42 months, would indicate the duration of the war, as spoken of by Daniel in the dividing of times and seasons. Robert figured that after October 1932, there would only be 3 years left to prepare for the great feast of the Jubilee of the maximum period, which was to follow the establishment of universal peace. He was very happy because he felt that there would now be an end to the war and these troublesome times. If you've gained insight from my video, subscribe so you can get the latest on my free market calls, forecasts, commentary, and teachings. I want to leave you with something. I was going to make a video on this, but I want to add it in here at the very end of this one because not many people will actually see this part of the video. When you think of a season, because we've read a lot of the seasons in here, when you think of a season, okay, you think of, March 21, September 21, and so on. What a season can be in the GAN world is a high or a low, you see. That's what's important. That's the market application, okay? And that high or low doesn't have to be anywhere near March 21 or September 21 or anything like that, okay? You got that? Knowledge is priceless. Hey, this is BA reminding you, you can succeed. Take care. Bye-bye.